Hi, Simon Keeling here, Wednesday 24th of October. Thanks again for watching weatherweb.net. Of course, the site's get free of charge by the adverts you see around the screen here. So by you coming back and using the adverts and viewing the site regularly, using the charts, etc., it means that we can keep the site free of charge. And don't forget to tell your friends about it. Now, we've got a position over the coming week where we're in drier than normal conditions across much of the UK and Northern Europe. You see it on this chart here. This is percentage of normal rainfall for the next week, taking us through to Halloween. And these oranges and reds here indicating rainfall of 50% and below normal. Nearer normal rainfall across Scotland, and you can see how dry it is there, look, across much of central Northern Europe. Now look at the temperature, similar sort of story here as well with the temperature anomalies falling down below normal. So we're looking at temperatures of sort of 2 degrees below normal across much of the UK, across much of Central Europe and across Scandinavia as well. So certainly we are in for a cooler spell of weather. Now if you look at the North Atlantic Oscillation, this forecast down here, this is for the next 14 days. You see that it kind of remains in negative territory and goes into quite strongly negative territory as well towards the end of the forecast period. And the Arctic Oscillation is bouncing around below normal too. So both of these indices indicating that the westerly winds across the Atlantic has certainly weakened. And that's kind of confirmed in the temperature chart here. Look, this is for London, and from the GFS, red line here is maximum temperatures. You see how these are falling off, look, as we head in towards the weekend, and temperatures really much cooler than they have been recently by the time we get through to next week. Incidentally, notice how little rainfall showing up on this chart now. And there's the forecast total rainfall for the next week for the UK. This is taken us through to 7 AM on the morning of Halloween. And you see here we've got below 10 millimetres of rain forecast across much of England and Wales during this period. More rainfall for northern and western Scotland, perhaps some coming down the east coast of England, one or two bits of northwest England as well, seeing more. But generally, look, the emphasis is on dry weather. Now, I think we've got to treat this one very carefully. We are on the edge of cold weather to the north, warm weather to the south, and this is kind of oscillating every day as to how much rainfall we're going to see. So we've got to treat it with caution, but it does look as if the emphasis is increasingly coming onto that cooler weather. Now, it's the ECMWF that again I prefer at the moment. Certainly it's the solutions that it's showing I prefer. The reason for that is quite straightforward. The ECMWF has performed quite well over the last few weeks and looks to be continuing that performance. So I think we can look at that for the overall pressure pattern. And what it shows from midnight last night is this area of high pressure up towards the northwest, which of course I was saying I thought would happen during October. Low pressure down towards the southwest, and this northeasterly flow in between the two. Now these charts excuse me, go forward in 24-hour steps. So if we knock them on by 24 hours, this is midnight tonight, look, still got that northeasterly flow. The high is still there up towards the northwest. The flow around this area of low pressure down towards the south here is like so. And what that's doing is pumping warm air constantly into this ridge that's at upper levels, and it's building this high all the time. Now what we'll find happening is that this area of low pressure and the cold pool, which is the yellow colour here associated with it, will drift eastwards. But look what happens here as these northerly winds come down across the UK during the course of Thursday overnight into Friday. You'll notice this big trough developing. Look at these northerly winds come in. They engage with the low heights across the Mediterranean, across southern Europe, and this then starts to pump cold air constantly downwards into this cold pool here across the Mediterranean southern parts of France. At the same time, we're getting warmer air coming off the northeastern coasts of Canada and the eastern states. This pumps into this ridge here, and the effect of that is that it continues to build the ridge, while at the same time we've got a cold pool out in the Atlantic. Now this is setting up quite a complex pattern for the models to handle, because there's several different factors going on here. We've got Arctic air coming into the central part of Europe. We've got some really warm, almost tropical air coming into this ridge over the Atlantic, and then we've still got cold air or cooler air trapped within this system out towards the west. So that's the position as of midnight Saturday. Then for midnight Sunday, look, this northerly feed trying to win through. It's pumping cold air all the time down into the Mediterranean. There's midnight on Monday, and you see here the trough just continuing to feed down, and this is the way I think this is going to develop, continuing to feed down even into Tuesday of next week. And even by Halloween, by Wednesday, look, you've still got that cold pool with that northerly feed, and this further trough coming back into northern parts of Scotland. with a deep low developing north of Scotland by the 1st of November, which is next Thursday, bringing more unsettled conditions. And that's been pretty consistent heading into the early part of November too for the last couple of days. So I think this is a pattern that we can probably now start to trust. So although we're showing that those dry conditions up till Halloween, you'll notice that by Halloween, look, we start to see this low coming into northern parts of Scotland. It's by then that we'll see that rainfall coming into these northern parts of Scotland, and then I think it's that we're going to find is going to bring more unsettling conditions down across the country from about the 1st or 2nd of November onwards, and much cooler and windier, and with sleet and with snow too. That can't be ruled out, particularly across high ground, as this system moves its way southwards. And it's kind of evidenced as well in other charts. If we just get up the comparison chart, this is between the ECMWF on the left here and the GFS on the right. This is the 7 to 10 day mean chart. So this is taking us from next Wednesday through to Saturday the 3rd, and it's the mean of the flow and the anomalies. And the reason we use 500 millibars is because it gives us a smoother overall impression of the weather, rather than looking at the intricacies of surface pressure. It gives us a smoother overflow, and we can see what's happening. And on the ECMWF, you notice it's got this deep trough look across the UK, with low heights, a centre of low heights to the north of Scotland. GFS, very, very similar, both of them with this ridge affecting northeastern Canada look coming into the western parts of Greenland. And this is really the trick, the key to all of this, because so long as this ridge is maintained, this north to northwesterly cooler flow can keep on pumping colder air back into Europe. It's a change here that we've got to watch for a change in our weather patterns. Okay, so let's get on to the detail then for the next few days. I think we can probably quite confidently say there's going to be some sort of change taking place from about the 1st to 2nd of November onwards. But what happens until we get to that time? Right, okay, let's get the starter charts. Here we go. So this is midday today. Look, here's our north to northeasterly flow, an increased easterly flow across the south of the country this morning. I think what's going to happen is this cold air is going to get south and westwards during the next 24 hours or so, and it's really tied in behind the front that's here across the north and the east of Scotland. We're going to find that front heading its way southwestwards during the course of Thursday, bringing cooler conditions to all places by the end of Thursday and into the early part of Friday as the front clears westwards. Then we're going to find brighter weather for Friday with some good spells of sunshine around, although I do think that there will still be some outbreaks of rain affecting these eastern coasts, 1 or 2 showers generally elsewhere. Much colder by Friday though, with the temperatures having fallen off and this area of high pressure building in. Then notice how into the weekend we get rain coming into the north of Scotland on a front. I think down to the south, this is the chart for midday on Saturday. Still got cooler air here, but it's not quite so cold, so not feeling quite so raw as it will do on Friday. Then through Sunday, an area of low pressure slips its way into the North Sea. It brings rain south through Scotland, through northern and western parts of Ireland during the day, and then that moves its way southwards during the latter part of the day into the early part of Monday across much of England and Wales. And incidentally, this could bring some snow to the hills of northern England and also to Wales. Following in behind, we get another ridge of high pressure building in as we head in towards the day on Monday. But this is probably a little feature we just need to watch out for down to the southeast here. We need to just watch for the threat of this low getting stuck for some reason across southeastern parts of England. And then what we're going to find out is that through Tuesday we'll find a front coming into the north and the west of Scotland again. That edges its way southeastwards through the course of Tuesday, and then this is the really cooler air coming in behind. I think we can probably say cold at this stage. In it comes, look, on a northwesterly flow through Halloween, and then the area of low pressure is off the northeastern parts of Scotland. But I do think that probably this low is further west, and I think it will bring more unsettled conditions, as the ECMWF was hinting. So it's probably going to look more like that, I suspect, with a low towards the north of Scotland and affecting much of the country with strong winds and unsettled conditions surrounding it. And that takes us into the early part of November, when I think we've got to be thinking seriously about snow across Scotland, Northern Ireland, hills of northern England, and some sleety bits as well across the more southern part of the country as this area here settles in and the northerly flow comes in into Europe. So, lots going on. I hope that made sense for you. There's certainly lots of turning points in the weather over the coming days, but I think the main feature is going to be this change around the 1st, 2nd of November, when we're going to see this change over to really chillier and more unsettled conditions. Before that, of course, we've got the cold to come on Friday, and that's a flip over to brighter conditions on Friday, but certainly feeling cooler as well. So hopefully that's been useful for you. Thanks again for watching, and keep the sun shining for now.